you ever heard the old saying, those resistant to change are destined to failure? Well, this mixer is resistant to change. When we try for number 1, everything is flowing good, sounding good, running good. But when we try for number 2, the machine takes a shite. Me too, buddy. Me too. And since that speed board is resistant to change, it is destined for failure. So, let's replace it. Now you saw earlier as I moved this thing into speed 2, it powered down and shut off. That is one reason to change the board if you're ever having any intermittent power like that. Also, if you move it into gear, it doesn't start and you have to wiggle the switch a little bit and then it kicks on. That's a good indication that your board is failing. Or if you just have no power whatsoever through any of the speeds, also a good indication to change that board. So this particular machine right here is the 7-quart Proline in candy apple red, and she is a beauty. Now this tutorial is also going to work for the 8-quart commercial machine because they're the exact same machine. Really the only difference is that the 8-quart has an 8-quart bowl. It's also going to work with the Pro 6000 HD, you know, the ones that they sold at like Sam's Club that came with the tulip bowl. The only difference is that it just has a little bit different board, but you know, the insides are all going to be exactly the same. So KitchenAid actually just discontinued the Proline 7-quart machine. What they did is they replaced the DC motor with an AC motor. They also got rid of the Professional 600 and the Pro 5 Plus. They brought out a 5.5-quart machine and then another 7-quart machine, and both of those use AC style motors instead of the DC styled motors. Now the biggest difference with that is that those are going to be 500 watts, right? This is 1,000 watts, so this comes in at 1.3 horsepower DC. The other one is going to be like, I don't know, almost 0.7, 0.65 horsepower, so still a really strong unit, just built a little different. Now, as we get started here, I do want to mention, if you need any parts or supplies for these jobs, we do offer these on our website, mrmixer.store. Also, make sure to check out our other tutorials. We have tutorials on every model of machine. We also have a ton of upgrades like the beater blade or the knead aces. We got cord organizers, and we even have metal attachment hangers. These mount under your cabinets by these little screw holes right here, and they just hold on to your attachments. Pretty fancy if you ask me. And as always, if you're looking for machines, we have those as well. And you know, we even do have the discontinued 7-quart machines. Enough foreplay, let's get on with it. First off, make sure that your machine is unplugged, and we're gonna start by removing this back screw for the beauty band. Now once that screw is removed, this beauty band literally just pulls off and away from the machine. Let's sit it out of the way. With the beauty band off, 4 screws are revealed. We got 2 screws over here, and then on the other side in a mirrored location, we have 2 more. We're gonna have to go ahead and remove those. So these screws are just a number 2 Phillips head screw, but you are also going to need a T15 bit. The T15 bit is called a Torx bit. It's a Torx 15, and it's a little star-shaped bit. Okay, let's go ahead and loosen these screws, which I have a lot of practice with. I got a lot of screws loose. Okay, so we have all 4 of these screws removed. This is what they look like. They're just little Phillips head screws. I believe they're 3/4 inch. There's 2 more that are the exact same as this that hold the speed board into place. So you can use them in any of these locations. So you can't really mix them up. All right, we are now ready to just go ahead and remove this upper housing. We'll set this off to the side, and this is what we're left with. So we have the motor here. This is the transmission up here. And then this is that speed board that we need to change. Now, as you can see here, this speed board actually sits underneath this motor. So we're gonna have to remove the back end of this motor to get that speed control board out. There's really just not a good way to get it out of there without removing this. All right, so in order to remove this motor, we actually have to undo this clip right here, and then we have to take off this hall sensor right here. In order to do that, we need to remove this zip tie right here. So we're just going to go ahead and take ourselves a little razor and give that thing a little snip. Now that that zip tie is gone, we can actually pull this out in a way, and we have access to this clip. We need to just go ahead and remove this. There is a little tab right here that you need to press on, and then you can just pop that out of place, just like that. I'm not gonna lie, I amazed myself. I made that look way too easy. Sometimes these clips are a little bit harder to get off, so what I found is if you take a little flathead screwdriver and you use that to really put some pressure down, you can use that to get it to pop apart, just like that. Next, we need to remove this hall sensor right here. As you can tell, there's a little tiny clip right there as well, so we'll have to just get on that with our finger, put some pressure on there, give it a wiggle, and it'll pop right out of place. Here is a little bit better look at that clip right there. You can see that it just is a little clip. It's got a little ledge right there, and that's where you have to put that pressure on it to get it to pull out. As you can tell here, this motor right here is just free floating. There's nothing here that holds it into place. The only thing that holds it in place is a screw right here. and a screw right here. So we'll have to go ahead and remove those to remove that motor. Now you'll want to be careful here. Like I said, these are the only 2 screws holding that thing into place. So as you remove these, that motor head is going to want to fall down out of place. So take a look here as I start to remove this other screw. See, there's a lot of play there. Now this board is already damaged, so it's not a huge deal to drop it on there. You wouldn't want to drop it on a good board, but also you don't want to damage the motor. So just make sure that you're holding on to it as you remove these screws. And we'll just go ahead and take those all the way out. All right, with those 2 screws out, this is ready to just pull away. What I like to do is I like to put pressure right here. So this is a transmission sleeve. So we're gonna go ahead and hold that into place, and then we can just pull back on this motor to pull it out of place. We did have a little gear come with that. We'll go ahead and take that off. So this is what that gear track system looks like. There's 3 smaller gears here and then some wider ones on the inside. Let's go ahead, we're gonna put this little gear back into place so we don't lose it. So we'll just kind of line that up, spin it till the teeth mesh, and get it to sit into place. Come on, baby. Just like that. So don't worry if you accidentally pulled that sleeve off and those gears fell out. We do have a whole tutorial on how all those gears align and how this, it's a motor replacement video for this same model of machine. We'll link it at the end of this video. You can check that out if you need to reassemble those gears. All right, now we're ready to proceed with the removal of this board. There's 2 screws that hold it in place, one there and one right there. So we will go ahead and remove those. And with those 2 screws removed, this board is now ready to pull out of place. There is this one little tab right here. We want to kind of slide the board, line it up with that hole, pull it out just like that. And there is one more clip we need to take off. So we flip this over. Now this is the clip that runs to the actual power cord. So there's just a clip right here. We'll go ahead and take that off. Now this is also a very simple clip. There's just a little tab right here. We'll put some pressure on that and wiggle it out of place. There we go. With the old board removed, we are now ready for the installation of the new board. Now the first step on the installation is to go ahead and re-hook up the power cord clip. Do it first, because if you don't, you'll forget, you'll put it into place, you get everything put back together, and then you'll realize you can't access that clip once the board is in place. So do it first. Now putting this clip on is even easier than taking it off. You just want to line up these 2 holes right here. You got the tab on this side. You want it facing this edge. And we'll just line up those little tabs there and then slide it back into place. And you'll hear a little click. There we go. With the power clip installed, we are now ready to slide this board back into place. Now remember, there's this little tab right here. You want to work around that so you don't break it. Line up your screw holes here and put in a couple screws to secure it into place. All right, so we have our 2 screws in place here. Now, make note, there is one thing that you don't want to do, and that is over-tighten these, because if you over-tighten these screws, you can actually crack this plastic housing on this board. We don't want to do that, so you really just want to get them, all right, here's loose, just tight. Our board is now secured into place. It is ready to reinstall the motor here. So what we're going to do, you just want to line it up, right? You got that little tiny gear there in the center. You want to match that up with this center post here on the motor. So we're just going to kind of line that up, wiggle it into place till you find some pay dirt there, and then you want to just wiggle it, press it in, and now we can go ahead and take our 2 screws and secure this motor back into place. Now, one thing to make sure of here when you are reinstalling this motor, you want this little key here to line up with that gap, and you're just going to kind of got to wiggle it. This lip right here actually goes over this little sleeve here, so just make sure you get over that, get it nice and secured. Now we can put some screws in. All right, we're just finishing getting this last screw tightened here into place for that motor. We are almost done with this repair. Now all we need to do is go ahead and put our clips together and see if it runs. Let's do it. First, we're going to start with this Hall sensor. It should be coming underneath the motor like that. We're going to wiggle it up into place here, and then it'll just drop down into that hole, and you should hear a little click. And then lastly here, we can just take these 2 clips, line them up, click those into place. Now, if everything's gone well so far, we should be ready to plug it in and see if we have power. So let's do it. Now, we always want to test for power, make sure it works before we put the top back on, right? Because if we do that, we'd have to take it apart if it didn't work. So let's just test it real quick. Oh, this thing sounds great. It's hitting all the speeds, ready to rock. It's smooth sailing now, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to go ahead and get this top put back down into place here. We're going to make sure that we line up our screw holes, and then we'll put in our 4 screws. There's 2 on each side. All right, and lastly, we just need to get our beauty band into place here. So we're just going to get this lined up. It sits in this little channel right here, so we'll just get that lined up. You want to make sure to find your screw hole right here, and then we'll just go ahead and get our last little tiny screw put into place. Now you do want to be careful with this screw right here. The screw is stainless steel and these housings are aluminum. So if you tighten this too tight, you can strip out those threads. So you just want to get it again just tight. And now this thing is nice and secured. We got a brand new machine. Thank you so much for watching. This concludes the speedboard install on the Proline 7-quart mixer and the commercial 8-quart mixer. Now remember, if you need any parts, tools, or supplies for this job, make sure to check out our website, mrmixer.store. Don't forget, we have tons of awesome accessories and upgrades, and we even sell mixers. As always, I appreciate you watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.